Welcome to OLevels Economics Unit 20 firms. In every country, firms exist in many different sizes. Each year, new firms are created, but while some fail quickly, others survive and expand into large organizations with well-known names. Large firms often enjoy significant advantages, yet small firms can still compete successfully in certain markets. This chapter explains how firms are classified, why small firms remain important, how firms grow, the different types of mergers, and the concepts of economies and diseconomies of scale. Industries are made up of firms that produce the same type of product. For example, the car industry includes firms such as Volvo, General Motors, and Toyota. A firm is a business entity or organization, and it may operate one or more plants. A plant is simply a production unit or workplace, such as a factory, office, farm, or branch. Large firms often own many plants in different parts of the world. Firms can be classified in several ways, including by the stage of production they operate in, by ownership, and by size. One important way of classifying firms is according to the stages of production. The first stage is the primary sector, which involves the extraction and collection of raw materials. Industries such as agriculture, coal mining, and forestry belong to this sector. The second stage is the secondary sector, where raw materials are processed into semi-finished and finished goods. Manufacturing and construction are included here, such as clothing, building, and steel industries. The third stage is the tertiary sector, which provides services rather than goods. Industries such as banking, insurance, and tourism fall into this sector. Some economists also identify a fourth stage called the quaternary sector, which is a subsection of the tertiary sector and focuses on information-based services, especially information technology. As countries develop, their industrial structure usually changes. Poorer countries often rely heavily on the primary sector, but as income rises, the secondary sector becomes more important, and eventually the tertiary sector dominates output and employment. Firms can also be classified by ownership. In a market economic system, most firms are privately owned, while in a planned economy, firms are mainly state-owned and belong to the public sector. In a mixed economy, both private and public sector firms operate together. Another major way of classifying firms is by size. The size of a firm can be measured by the number of workers employed, the value of output produced, or the amount of financial capital used. The size of a firm depends on several factors. Age is important because most firms start small, and only those that survive can grow over time. The availability of financial capital also affects growth, since firms with more finance can expand more easily. The type of business organization matters too, as multinational companies are usually much larger than sole traders. Internal economies and diseconomies of scale influence size, since firms experiencing falling average costs as they expand may grow further, while fear of rising costs may limit growth. Finally, the size of the market is often the key factor, because firms can only become large if there is sufficient demand for their product. Despite the benefits of growth, most firms in any economy remain small. One major reason is the small size of the market for certain products. Goods such as luxury yachts or customized designer clothing have limited demand, so firms producing them cannot expand greatly. Consumer preference is another reason, as people often prefer small firms for personal services such as hairdressing, where friendly and individual service is valued. The owner's preference can also prevent growth, since some entrepreneurs may not want the stress of managing a large organization or may fear losing control. Flexibility is another advantage, as small firms can adapt quickly to changes in demand and make decisions faster. Technical factors also matter, because in some industries little capital is needed, so economies of scale are less significant and small firms can compete easily. Some firms remain small simply because they lack the financial capital required to expand. Location can also encourage small firms, especially where transport costs are high, leading to local markets rather than national ones. Small firms may also cooperate, for example, farmers joining together to buy equipment. Specialization allows small firms to provide niche products or services to larger firms. Governments also often support small firms financially and through advice because they create jobs, develop entrepreneurial skills, and may grow into larger businesses. Firms can grow in two main ways: internal growth and external growth. Internal growth, also called organic growth, happens when a firm increases sales of its current products or diversifies into new ones. This may involve expanding existing plants or opening new ones. McDonald's is an example of a firm that grew internally by opening outlets worldwide. External growth occurs when firms join together through mergers or takeovers. This allows faster expansion than internal growth, but it can also create risks if the firm becomes larger than its optimum size. There are three main types of mergers. A horizontal merger is when two firms at the same stage of production, producing the same product merge, such as two-car manufacturers. The main motives are to gain greater economies of scale and increase market share by eliminating a competitor. Horizontal mergers may also allow rationalization, where redundant resources such as extra offices are sold off and managerial staff costs reduced. However, horizontal mergers can lead to diseconomies of scale, difficulties of control, and problems integrating different management structures. A vertical merger happens when firms at different stages of production of the same product merge. Vertical merger backwards occurs when a firm merges with its supplier of raw materials or components, ensuring reliable and good quality supply and possibly restricting rivals' access. Vertical merger forwards happens when a firm merges with a market outlet, such as an oil company buying petrol stations. This ensures sufficient outlets and better marketing opportunities. However, vertical mergers may also cause management difficulties, especially when firms lack experience in running the new stage of production. A conglomerate merger involves firms producing different products merging together, such as an electricity company merging with a travel company. The main motive is diversification, spreading risk across different markets. However, coordinating a wide range of products can be very challenging, and some firms later choose to demerge and split apart again. Mergers can affect consumers both positively and negatively. If economies of scale are achieved, prices may fall and quality may improve through innovation and efficiency. But if diseconomies of scale occur, consumers may face higher prices and poorer service. Horizontal mergers may also reduce consumer choice and increase market power, allowing firms to push prices up. A key concept linked to firm growth is economies of scale. Economies of scale are advantages gained from producing on a larger scale, leading to lower long-run average costs. Internal economies of scale are gained by an individual firm expanding its size, while external economies of scale benefit all firms in an industry due to industry growth. Diseconomies of scale are the disadvantages of becoming too large, leading to rising long-run average costs. Internal diseconomies arise from firm expansion, while external diseconomies arise from an industry becoming too large. The LRAC curve can have different shapes. It is usually U-shaped, with costs falling at first and then rising after the optimum output level. In some industries, it may continually fall as output increases, or become L-shaped, where costs fall to the minimum efficient scale and then stay constant. External economies shift the LRAC curve downward, while external diseconomies shift it upward at all output levels. Internal economies of scale include buying economies, where large firms receive discounts from bulk purchases. Selling economies arise because transport, advertising, and distribution costs do not rise proportionally with output. Managerial economies occur because large firms can hire specialist staff, such as accountants and designers. Labor economies come from division of labor and worker specialization. Financial economies allow large firms to borrow more easily and cheaply, and also raise finance through selling shares. Technical economies occur when large firms can use advanced machinery efficiently. Research and development economies arise because large firms can afford dedicated departments that improve production methods and develop new products. Risk-bearing economies exist because large firms often produce a range of products, spreading trading risks. However, firms may experience internal diseconomies of scale if they grow too large. Control becomes more difficult, requiring extra management layers and increasing administrative costs. Communication problems may arise, as workers may not be fully informed or able to share ideas effectively. Poor industrial relations may develop, with workers feeling less motivated and a higher risk of conflict and strikes. External economies of scale arise when an industry grows and benefits all firms within it. These include the development of a skilled labour force, a strong regional reputation, the growth of specialist suppliers, the availability of specialist services, the creation of specialist markets, and improved infrastructure. These advantages are more likely when firms are concentrated in one area, which is why they are sometimes called economies of concentration. External diseconomies of scale occur when an industry becomes too large. Increased transport and congestion can raise costs and reduce productivity. Competition for resources may also push up the prices of land, labour, and capital equipment. Thanks for watching.